Our first morning in Hundar. As the sun comes out, it lights up the leafless poplar trees, the whitewashed chotans to brighten up. Their large numbers a pointer to Hundar's royal past. The castle watchtower, perched above the steep cliff, looks on impassively. We have a quick breakfast of Ladakhi roti, that is fermented bread, with butter, jam and curd, and wash it down with cups of butter tea. We have work to do. Collect water from the Hundar Nala. That is what every villager of Hundar has to do in winter. Government water supply is suspended as frozen water can burst pipes. Shallow water channels are all frozen. This is the only place where water for daily needs is available. We lend our hands to Iqbal Bhai in filling the jerry cans and carrying them back home. Now is the time to visit Hundar's claim to fame, silver sand dunes at the edge of the village. These dunes are a result of floods in the Shyok river over the ages. In summer, this area is teeming with tourists and camels. Now, we are unchallenged. Little bit of snow is there on the sand, mimicking patterns. Fascinating, this play of snow and sand. I am also mesmerized by the small stream running through the dunes, reflecting the open blue sky, lined with snow at its edges, moving serenely through frost-bitten banks and winding through sand. It is like a thread that unites worlds. We follow the stream as we move towards Diskit, the administrative headquarters of Nubra Valley. Sibak thorn bushes make their appearance now and then, their vitamin C rich berries sacrificed to the cold. And then a scene right out of a Tarkovsky film, free roaming herd of horses. They are as taken aback as we are at this unplanned encounter. Perturbed, they start to move away. But they don't really rush about it. There are more surprises ahead. We are soon climbing the Chotan-lined road to the Diskit monastery, the main one of the Nubra Valley. The 14th century monastery is spread on a high ridge. Built on a number of levels, the architecture is intricate. Various temples in the monastery are elaborately painted in bright and vivid colors. While we are lost in the brilliance of colors, Iqbal Bhai detects some movement in the hill above. It's a male ibex, our second surprise of the day. We leave the monastery and start climbing the hill for a better sighting. As we huff and puff up the hill, the ibex peers at us intently. It then sits down in a ruminative pose, sure that we will not make it. But when we do, it looks crestfallen. Giving us rueful looks, it moves away. We then realize we are at a medieval age watchtower above the monastery. Prayer flags tied to the stone bastion flutter as we go around it. We then walk back, soaking in the panoramic view of the Nubra Valley spread below us. The next surprise Iqbal Bhai has in store for us is up the gorge that the Hundar Nala has carved. A dirt track from Hundar snuggles up the steep mountainsides. Its destination, Hundar Dok. Dok meaning pasture land, hence pasture for Hundar livestock. With the sun behind the mountain, it is extremely cold. Soon we come across a huge cave that could easily seat over 200 people. Locals call it the Pigeon Cave. There are no pigeons inside at the moment, but beguiling ice formations pockmark the surface, transfixing us. We leave the cave to go a couple of kilometers ahead. The surprise is apparently on the other side of the Nala. We walk gingerly over the frozen stream to cross over. Another 100 meters and we reach a large standing rock. And on its back is this gem. Truly a surprise. A 10th to 11th century rock-cut Buddha, nearly 14 feet tall, lying unattended. It is a masterpiece in the wilderness. Unknown masterpiece, as later we could find no record of it in the history books. Winter is the only season to reach here. Walking over the frozen stream, the only recourse. We were fortunate to have come at this time of the year. But for Hundar Dok, the pasture we intend to go next, snowbound winter is not the right time. We do get unexpected company on our way up though. The road becomes distinctly slippery and the going slow. We take a few U-turns to ascend, and the valley opens up as we reach the end of the road. This is Vachan, the roadhead, about 2 kilometers short of Hundardok. All supplies have to be carried up on foot from here. We walk ahead a little to the edge of Vachan, marked by these Jotuns. This was by far the coldest spot we had come to. We marveled at the hardiness of the people who stayed here, even in winter. For us, it was time to go back to the warmth of Hundar.